Only if the media will tell us the entire story.
Trump was treated with unique unfairness by error-riddled reports in the media, always cutting in a negative direction. There's been no similar trend under Biden. CNN claimed Nancy Sinatra was not happy her father's song was played at Trump's inauguration. But Nancy Sinatra responded, "That's not true. I never said that. Why do you lie, CNN?"
And I'm going to give credit to this YouTube channel because I'm going to put a link below. It's called Full Measure with Cheryl Atkinson. I didn't know this level of work has been done. I was like, get out of town. Now, I want you to hear what's going on here. The media has missed so much, confused so much, lied so much. The propaganda machine has been playing with the minds of the masses. And in this presentation, it shows something that I wish more people will do their homework when it comes to Donald J. Trump. Friends, I'm in no way saying Trump is a saint. I'm in no way saying he's sinless. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm in no way saying he's never done anything wrong. All I'm simply saying is examine what the media has been saying. Be very careful with their words and with their thoughts. A lot of time, they made a huge mistake. Sometimes they are lying boldly in our faces. And by the time we find out, the damage has already been done. And I think this presentation here is done in such a way to show you how much they've played with the minds of the people. I'm going to be quiet. We're going to run this thing through because it's actually mind-blowing what's going on here. And again, this is nothing I didn't know about, but I just love the way they did their work. And you got to give them some credit and go subscribe to their channel. This is what our media should be doing. But unfortunately, you know what's going on. Paid and sold by the three-letter alphabets. Paid and sold and bought and being used as a propaganda machine. Manipulating the minds of the masses. That's what's going on. Anyway, with that being said, let's move on. Let's get into this video.
We're now moving into the most heated phase of the 2024 presidential campaign. Few things are as important to the two top candidates, Biden and Trump, as getting positive coverage in the news. Donald Trump had a decided disadvantage in 2016 and 2020 when it comes to the traditional press and social media. Here at Full Measure, we've documented the media's uniquely harsh treatment of Trump since he first declared his run for the White House, including an explosion in the trend of false reporting by formerly well-respected national news outlets. We've also been tracking media mistakes under the Biden presidency to see if he'd fall victim to the same syndrome. In other words, is the media making an unprecedented number of sloppy but innocent errors, or is their behavior part of a calculated strategy? Today's cover story, what the record shows. When President Biden spent last Christmas on vacation with family, he continued the longest string in 2 decades of a U.S. president not visiting the troops during the holiday. But there was no criticism in the press like there had been of his predecessor,
Thank you.
President Trump. With Trump, the media was eager to blare negative headlines, even when false. In 2018, NBC incorrectly reported that Trump stayed home at Christmas time, the first U.S. president since 2002 to skip visiting the troops. The news went global. But it wasn't true. The media had jumped the gun. Trump and First Lady Melania left the White House Christmas Day to visit U.S. soldiers in Iraq. On Thanksgiving, Newsweek made a similar error, falsely reporting that Trump was spending the holiday golfing at Mar-a-Lago in Florida. But the reporter had fabricated the golf story. Trump flew to Afghanistan on Thanksgiving to again be with the troops, making Trump the only president in U.S. history to visit troops in a combat zone both on Thanksgiving and so close to Christmas, though the press never reported that. 3 years into the Biden presidency, it's clear Trump was treated with unique unfairness by error-riddled reports in the media, always cutting in a negative direction. There's been no similar trend under Biden. But first, a reminder of just a few of the worst media mistakes about Trump. CNN claimed Nancy Sinatra was not happy her father's song was played at Trump's inauguration. But Nancy Sinatra responded, "That's not true. I never said that. Why do you lie, CNN?" Time falsely claimed Trump removed the bust statue of Martin Luther King from the Oval Office. TMZ reported Trump changed Black History Month to African American History Month, but Presidents Obama, Bush, and Clinton had all called it African American History Month. BBC, The Guardian, and others reported that Trump wasn't bothering to listen to a speech by Italy's prime minister since he wasn't wearing translation headphones. Turns out he was wearing a translation earpiece. Newsweek and others reported Poland's first lady refused to shake Trump's hand, but later had to admit she did. CNN edited Trump's remarks to make it seem as though he didn't realize Japan builds cars in the U.S., but the full statement made clear that he does.
You've been creating jobs for our country for a long, long time. Several Japanese automobile industry firms have been really doing a job.
CNN also edited a video to make it seem like Trump impatiently dumped fish food in the water at Japan's palace. But he'd followed the lead of Japan's prime minister. Newsweek claimed Ivanka Trump plagiarized one of her own speeches, which is impossible since plagiarizing is stealing someone else's work. The UK Telegraph apologized for at least 8 mistakes in an article criticizing Melania Trump. The New York Times, AP, CNN, and others excerpted a Trump comment as if he'd called all illegal immigrants animals.
These aren't people. These are animals.
Later corrections noted he'd been referring to members of the murderous MS-13 criminal gang. The New York Times Magazine and CNN shared a story showing children illegally brought into the U.S. supposedly in cages, but the article and photos were actually from the Obama administration. Agence France-Presse mistakenly reported that more than 100,000 children brought in by illegal immigrants were being held in detention. That was actually the total number in 2015 under Obama. Time and others showed a crying Honduran child to illustrate Trump separating illegal immigrant parents from children, but the child hadn't been separated from her parents in the U.S. MSNBC falsely claimed Trump banned the Red Cross from visiting the immigrant children. The Red Cross said that wasn't true. MSNBC also falsely claimed that Trump had talked about exterminating Latinos, but later corrected that and apologized. NBC News misidentified the focus of Trump's praise in a speech as Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Actually, Trump was talking about Union General Ulysses S. Grant.
And his name was Grant, General Grant.
The Washington Post and others falsely reported that Trump-supporting pro-life Catholic high school students were the aggressors in a confrontation in Washington, D.C. Several news outlets featured an empty podium at Trump's 4th of July celebration in 2019 and said he didn't draw crowds, but the photo was taken before the event. The actual crowd was huge. The New York Times and others implied Trump hadn't paid income taxes for 18 years, but the record shows he'd paid a higher rate than Democrats Bernie Sanders and President Obama. Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal reported special counsel Robert Mueller had subpoenaed Trump's bank records. That wasn't true. Politico falsely reported that Trump owed the Bank of China tens of millions of dollars in a loan coming due as he dealt with China on coronavirus. Not true. MSNBC falsely reported that Trump had loans with Russian co-signers. Slate.com falsely claimed a Russian bank server had been illicitly communicating with Trump Tower. And the New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, and many others falsely reported that the Hunter Biden laptop scandal story was unsubstantiated or Russian disinformation. The New York Times reported that Trump seized on hydroxychloroquine as a miracle cure. Trump never said that.
And it may work and it may not work. But if it doesn't work, it's nothing lost by doing it, nothing.
CNN and others criticized Trump for tweeting that Alabama would likely be affected by Hurricane Dorian, but official advisories had put Alabama in a projected impacted area. Vox.com tweeted that Trump suggested he'd been a 9/11 first responder. He'd said the opposite.
And I was down there also. but I'm not considering myself a first responder.
Multiple media falsely claimed Trump was golfing during a U.S. raid that captured the head of ISIS in Syria and that a White House photo of Trump had been staged. But Trump was at the White House. ABC aired video showing what it called a slaughter.
Goodness. Oh, my goodness. I mean, I hope I'm letting this run for a purpose. I'm letting this run for a purpose.
Against Kurds by Turkey after Trump withdrew. Aired video showing what it called a slaughter against Kurds by Turkey after Trump withdrew U.S. troops, but the video was file tape of a training show in the U.S. And USA Today connected the eagle on a Trump campaign T-shirt with a Nazi eagle, later admitting the eagle is a longtime U.S. symbol, too.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
After Biden was sworn in, what did we find? The media made fewer major mistakes, and the ones they did make still cut against Trump or somehow favored Biden and his agenda. Here are just a few examples. The New York Times published a fabricated claim that Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick was killed by pro-Trump supporters who struck him in the head with a fire extinguisher. However, Sicknick died from a stroke. The Poynter Institute's PolitiFact, The Washington Post, and others falsely said the idea of COVID coming from a lab was a debunked conspiracy theory. WebMD, USA Today, and others incorrectly dubbed the 2020 Sturgis, South Dakota motorcycle rally a COVID superspreader event. Data showed the rally had way below the national average of cases. Associated Press falsely stated that 70% of recent calls to Mississippi Poison Control were from people who'd taken ivermectin for COVID. The actual number was reportedly 2%. USA Today falsely claimed President Biden only checked his watch after the return of U.S. soldiers killed in Afghanistan. In fact, Biden repeatedly checked his watch during the ceremony, as families of the fallen soldiers claimed. Mediaite falsely declared that Joe Biden had not referred to baseball great Satchel Paige as a Negro. In fact, he'd done just that.
You know, I've adopted the attitude of the great Negro at the time. His name was Satchel Paige.
And the Washington Post claimed Senator Tom Cotton was wrong to say murderers like the Boston Marathon bomber would qualify for COVID stimulus checks under Biden. Turns out the convicted killer did receive a stimulus check in prison. Trump sued CNN for $475 million for calling his challenges to the 2020 election the big lie. He argued it defamed him because the big lie is a Nazi term. The judge threw out the case, saying CNN was using the term as an opinion, and it didn't necessarily link Trump to Hitler or genocide of Jews.
It's pretty amazing what's going on here. It's amazing what's going on here. The mental gymnastics and the lies and the deception, the propaganda is out of control, and I love the exposure. I love what just happened here. Guys, I've said it before. Trump is not a saint. He's not sinless. He's not my Jesus. But I tell you what, he is not as evil as they portrayed him to be. And I think the more they lie and deceive and manipulate and plays with the mind of people, this is how Trump's base gets bigger. You know, friends, they didn't just make mistakes. They were boldly lying to us. Now, the average person who's done their homework, read some articles, listened to some of Trump's speech, they know that it's nothing but a lie. But again, people who are not reading this stuff, and I've listened and I've spoken to people that are just not doing their homework, they're repeating the stuff. They're repeating the lies. And I'm like, whoa, that's been debunked. That's not true. It never happened. That's not what he was talking about. And their eyes were like, what? I said, yeah, like, you don't know that. But it goes to show the power of the media. But today, the new talk is that Trump is a dictator. Trump is going to take over the country. Trump called, these illegals vermin. He was reading from Hitler Minds Come. Like, really? Like, you think Trump got time to read? It's crazy how they manipulate his words and magnify things that never was. And I mean, no one's saying he's never said anything bad. This is not what we're arguing here. What I'm saying is, the same things, if they will treat Biden the same way they treat Trump, it will be fair game. But that's not what's going on here. They destroy and manipulate and speak negatively about a man, and then the polish and touch Biden with kid's glove and handle him with kid's glove as if he's never done and said anything wrong. That's called hypocrisy. That's called double standard. You can't do that. It is wrong. Okay, you can't be partial in your delivery. I'm not upset with them. I think what they're doing is wrong. But the more they do that, the more trust they're going to lose. And the more people like myself, alternative media, they're going to get the attention. The more people will get to listen to me and hear my perspective on things, hopefully hear about my Jesus, the more it works in my favor. At the same time, there's a negative side to this. The damage sometimes is permanent. The damage on the minds of some people, even when the correction has been made, they might not realize there was a correction made. They might not realize this stuff was being debunked. The media lied for years about one thing, and then when the truth came out, they come out with a short little statement or a video, and that's the end, and you don't hear anything about it anymore. But the damage has already been done. So this is why it's very significant that we expose their hypocrisy and we speak about what's going on here. This is what the Bible speaks about as one being partial in his judgment. And look at how the Bible speaks about it, right? It says, if there come unto your assembly a man with a gold ring, so this man is rich, in goodly apparel, and there come in also a poor man in vile raiment. So we got a rich man and a poor man. They come into your assembly, into your church, into your house, right? And look at the treatment here. You show respect to the one that weareth the gay clothes, right? He's rich. And you say unto him, sit over here in a good place, and say to the poor, stand thou over there and sit under my footstool. And what's going on here is two different treatment of two different individuals because of their status. That's what the Bible is condemning here. And he went on to say, are you not then partial in yourselves, and all become a judge of evil thoughts? And now, what's going on here is the partiality of the mainstream media. It goes to show Democrats are treated one way. Republicans are treated in another way. Trump is treated one way. Biden is treated another way. They cannot be honest with themselves. If they will simply report the news and keep their thoughts out of people's business, it will be fair game. But they can't even do that. Because why? They have been politically driven to do something. It's political ideology. It's all about narratives, and it's all about what my party tells me. It's all about the script that's been given to me by those at the top. This is what's being reported to the news, and this is why it's such a bad thing. This is why the confidence of people in the mainstream media has completely is gone. Nobody trusts them anymore. And why should you? Why would you ever trust them? And it's okay now. Guess what? You can come to my channel because I'm just going to read the news and report the stuff and share my Jesus and give you a final thoughts, and it's over. I don't have to play these games that they playing. So look what's going on here. In Proverbs, in Isaiah, we are told, your iniquity have separated between you and your God, and your sin has laid his hand from you that you might not hear. So God is separated. Look what happens as a result of that separation, the reason why God feels separated from them. It says, for your hands have defiled with blood, and your fingers with iniquity. Your lips have spoken lies, and your tongue have muttered perverseness. None calleth for justice, for any that pleadeth for truth. They trust in vanity and speak lies. They conceive mischief and bring forth iniquity. And the idea is, the more there is corruption, there is lies, there's deception, it results in workers of iniquity. It says, their web shall not become garments, neither shall they cover themselves with works. Their works are works of iniquity, and the act of violence is in their hands. I don't think we realize the impact of the lies of the mainstream media is having on the psyche of the masses. Majority of the corruption, the lies, the deception, the wars, the violence that are in the land comes as a result of what the mainstream media has been telling us. It's not just happening just because people are bad people. Yeah, we can agree with that as well, in part, yes. No, it's happening because people have been lied to. And when people are lied to, they act in a particular way. People are lied to, they will do things, they will go to the extreme, they will respond, they will react. And unfortunately, friends, I don't think the media will ever be held accountable as it should be for what they've done to the minds of the masses. But again, this presentation, again, I want to give credit where credit is due. I'm going to put a link in the description below. Make sure you go check it out. This is how it's done. And listen, that's what they do. That's what they do. It's amazing what's going on here. That's why I had to subscribe. I'm going to put a link below. Make sure you go show them some love. This is how you report the news. And I wish the media will stop lying. Thank you so much for listening. Once again, like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more. Okay. We've been demonetized on YouTube. Okay. It hasn't been fun at all. So for those of you who are standing with us, I want to say thank you. Those of you who are part of the Patreon family, thank you. This is why you get videos before everybody else. Okay, so make sure for those of you who are thinking about joining us, the link in the description below as well. So check out our merch. It's one of the ways you can support the channel as well. But listen, we're going to keep the fire burning here, regardless of what's happening on the platform, because the censorship gurus are coming after the channel. And it's okay. It's okay. Because God is stronger than man. So I'm not complaining. I'm just explaining. Anyway, share your thought with me. Like it and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more. Have a good one. Bye.